What's going on, everyone? Justin Smith here, and I'm with Brandon Mulson, and we are with Tracks and Sign. Brandon, how we doing today?
Hey, good. Good morning, Justin.
Good. Yeah, it is a good morning. It's beautiful up here in Michigan. It's deer season, and I'm pretty excited what we're going to be talking about today. Both of us.
Oh yeah. Fired up.
Yeah. So, quite a bit's happened since the last podcast towards the end of October. Brandon, you've been down on the property down in Ohio. I've been up north, and we've been seeing a lot of different things. From our last podcast, there was a little bit of different tonality going on in our voice. We were a little confused, a little frustrated. And I'm certainly excited to share the changes. It's pretty wild, actually. What, a week and a half, or even just a week. What happens to the woods and the activity. So, But let's start. So, last time we spoke, you went down to Ohio for a few days. We were really excited for that cold front that was coming in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
cold front.
Yeah, cold front. So you're down there. We kind of had a very similar experience. I was up in Michigan. Not much was going on, but later on that following week, you actually went back down to Ohio. So tell us.
Cold front.
Well, I'm sorry. What was that?
Second cold front.
Second cold front. All right. So tell us, what was your experience like?
So it was awesome. It was, and awesome is relative. I was down in the woods. Everything's awesome when you're down in the woods.
Life is better
compared to the alternative. So went down there, and it was. I get down there November 1st, the day after Halloween, and that cold front came in that weekend. So I couldn't get down there Halloween day, although I really wanted to. It wasn't happening. So got down there real early Sunday, and it was also daylight savings time. I don't think the deer comply with daylight savings time like we do here in Michigan and Ohio, but I did my best to get down there and set up as early as I could to capture what I could that morning, and had some solid predictions. And I didn't see much my first sit. I did pull out of there for I didn't sit all day, and I went back in the evening and ended up seeing a ton of deer. And so a lot of stuff that wasn't showing up previous to the trail cams. At that time, I pulled my trail cam, took a look at what was going on that past week. A lot of new activity. My target buck was showing himself more and more during shooting hours, so I was very excited for those next few days. One day saw 30 plus deer, a number of bucks. I think I talked about it a little bit on our Instagram, but my shooter didn't come out there. So main target buck didn't show himself during daylight hours. A couple big deer came through there, a lot of doe. So and then I had to leave and come back to Michigan. So I'm real excited to get back down there. But the cold front, the second cold front was the kick in the butt. Not a crazy amount of rut activity. There was actually I think it was like a 1.5-year-old or a 2-year-old spike, real big spike, following around a doe for about 15 minutes or so in front of me. But that was really the only chasing activity that I saw. How about you? You were up there for quite some time.
Yeah, I pretty much over the last, I would say 2 weeks, I've only been home probably, I don't know, 3 days, 4 days,
Wow.
Not even. Yeah. Out of curiosity though, so what your shooter, your target buck, is his times that he's showing up during the day consistent, or are they all scattered all over the place?
So during the daytime, it's unbelievable how this happens. It's not unbelievable. He probably is still showing up, but he's a mature 10-point. He's not coming in if something's off, and maybe he's scenting me, or he's coming in from some angle where I'm there. Because the previous few days of me showing up, he was out in the afternoon and nighttime. He was a 24-hour block. It was pretty sweet. And then of course I'm there, and the few days that I'm there, he's only there at midnight or 4 a.m., 5 a.m., where like just before I got there, he's there. So who knows what his deal is. I'll give a little update on when I left, and some more people from my property came down and had an amazing week. But we'll get into that after you talk about your last weekend.
Wow. I mean, he didn't become a 10-year-old mature buck for being stupid, right?
Right. Well, 10 point. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, 10 point, not 10 year.
10 year would be real impressive. I don't even know if I've ever seen something like that in captivity, but I heard they get that old. I heard they get like in double digits if they're, I don't know public bucks, but captive bucks get pretty old.
Yeah. So we were actually, Lauren and I just were looking into this on the way home, a couple weekends ago in the state of Michigan anyways. The average age for a Michigan, like just a wild Michigan deer, is anywhere between 4.5 to 6 years old. That includes,
really?
Yeah. Doe obviously tend to live about another 2 to 3 years longer. Yeah. But bucks do not have like a very long lifespan. Even like not because of being killed, like literally just their lifespan. That's just how long they live. It's pretty interesting.
Well, cars and every predator out there, and then hunters take a pretty small. I heard most of the bucks around at least southeast Michigan, Metro Detroit area, they're you'll see some monsters that are unfortunately struck by cars, or they're laying all over the place. It's that's too bad.
There was a massive, at least a 10-pointer. It was right on the side of 75, just north of Bass Pro there in Auburn Hills.
Wow.
Yeah, dude, massive deer. Like,
oh my gosh.
And then I'm like thinking to myself, I'm like, couldn't imagine hitting something like that with my car.
So that's near the public land that I'll hunt around here, around our house.
Yeah, so
at least around my house.
You haven't been out there. You went out there for opening bow.
I went out there for opening bow. Yeah, that was October 1 though.
Yeah.
And then I've only duck hunted out there since then, which has been awesome. It's like a guarantee you're going to get a couple wood ducks. Might be difficult to find if you're hunting the marsh land over there, but buck wise, haven't seen any bucks, haven't hunted for anything out there. I might go sit out there during opening gun for a morning or evening or so, something like that. But
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my experience, so from that first cold front towards pretty much the last week in October to that weekend of the November 1st. So yeah, I went up north that end of that week. I think I left on like Wednesday night, and dude, it was a completely different scenery.
Totally different, huh?
Like it was yeah, it was nuts. Like I did not see my target buck. I'm pretty convinced that I did hear him behind me because like the amount of noise he was making. And I had visual on like all these other deer that I was seeing on camera. But I mean, dude, who knows? But anyways, I mean, I saw chasing, I saw a lot of noise making, like I saw a lot of deer that I've yet to see on camera. They weren't really responding to any type of, grunt calls or tube calls, can calls, etc. Which was interesting because of how vocal they were being in the woods. So it probably was, user error on my end. I had a couple really nice doe that came in like super close. It's just at this point in my strategy, I'm going to just wait till gun season to do that. Especially if, this rut activity is, what's happening, I might as well use them to my advantage and hopefully see what happens. But yeah, I mean, I saw from our first recap of our podcast, barely seeing like any deer. I mean, I was seeing at any given day, I was seeing, 10, 12, 15 plus deer at any given sit, which for me is morning sit and then afternoon sit. So I don't sit all day. I didn't at that time. Now, this past week, I sat all day some of the days because it's Like, it is my favorite time to be in the woods. Like the wood, like we talk about, like in the morning when the sun rises and the, nature comes to life. Like,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, like, yeah, but sorry, Steve's barking. So, Steve. But I mean, it's such a dramatic change. Like, it's so ridiculous what is happening, with rut. And so fast forward to this past weekend. I mean, is it okay that I kind of hop right into what I was seeing? Yeah.
Get at it.
Yeah. So
I'll report what I was doing, what my other guys were doing down there, which was amazing. So yeah, get at it.
So I went up this past Wednesday, and I stayed till Saturday night. And Thursday morning, I get out my blind, and it was pretty chilly in the morning. It was the temperature was projected to get up into the 70s, like low 70s, which is crazy to me. Especially
so crazy for this time of year.
Yeah, exactly. Like we were looking, my dad and I were looking at old pictures, and like 3 years ago there was snow on the ground during this time.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, like morning is going to be a time where I see deer. So I get out in the woods, and I saw a bunch of deer. Like, nothing super exciting. I mean, it's always exciting to see deer, but nothing where like really got my heart rate going. And then I decided to keep hunting through the rest of the day, even though like the temperature, like I was in my head, I was like, man, like deer are not going to be moving. So, actually I did go in for like an hour, but I came back out early afternoon. I was back in my stand by like 12:30, 1 o'clock. And around like 2:33, I hear this just tank barreling through the woods, like just making, it did not care what noise it was making. It was on a mission. And it was a very nice 8-point. And he's heading south. And all of a sudden I hear even more noise coming from the south, and another 8-point buck comes in the opposite direction that this buck is heading. Yeah, dude. And they literally like cross paths. They barely even acknowledge each other. And probably like, oh yeah. And so when that first 8-point was making, some moves in the woods, I did want to try to get him to stop, because I wanted, like, I knew it was a very nice deer, but I wanted to get better eyes on it. And, unfortunately, I would not have been able to take it with a gun. It would have been a no-brainer, but with a bow would have been a very difficult shot, just with like some, like tree limbs and branches, things like that. So I made like a little bit of noise, and I actually got him to stop for probably about 3 seconds, enough for me to like be like, wow, that's a really nice deer. Get confirmation. Yeah, I literally just like, like just a little bit louder. And he did stop. He didn't see me. He didn't know where it was coming from. And then as he starts moving again, this other 8-point comes from the south, and they cross paths. And as they cross paths, I hear this another crazy amount of noise, and these 3 doe come barreling into like this wood club. Like, they were all hanging out together, and they just was like, the noise they were making. It was so like. I don't think this noise, I mean, I know there's noise probably could be duplicated, but it's not something I'm familiar with. It was just the most surreal thing. Like, they were literally like,
what would you compare it to?
Like, the bucks were almost making like cat noises in a way, like like a mixture of cat and cow. Like it was
like a meow, or like
a meow, like, okay. But it wasn't like a normal like buck. Like, it wasn't like a normal. I thought it was the doe making this noise, but it was not the doe. And so the noise, the deer or the doe,
and it wasn't a grunt.
It was not a grunt, dude. It wasn't.
Oh, interesting.
And I mean, dude, if it was, like, which it very well could have been, but from my experience, from like just being out in the woods, listening to people that obviously know a lot more about deer hunting than I do, like, I've never heard this sound before.
Huh.
The does were like hissing, stomping on their feet, and they hung out for like a while. And it was just amazing to watch this happen, because not even a week prior, like, this wasn't happening. And, and also I did check my my watch, and it was around 69 degrees, 70 degrees.
Wow.
So, I mean, it was warm, and it was the middle of the afternoon. Like, normally, I mean, people obviously have different experiences, but from my experience, usually I see deer in the morning, and I see deer, somewhere between, 4 and dark. Like, but this was, 1:30, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So it was awesome. Saw like dozens of deer throughout the rest of that day. And I'm picky. So I know deer that I want to go after. I know what happens during rut. There could be deers that, pop out and you've never seen them before on camera, which is one of the great things about the rut. But yeah, it was incredible. And so I didn't draw back or anything like that on any deer. There were a couple nice doe that came in that were definitely worthy. But I'm just going to wait now till gun season, which starts this Sunday.
Gosh, I can't wait. So that is, that's ridiculous. One day you said you saw, what was it, like 70 deer?
Yeah. Like not, it, I know it was more than 50 deer.
Unreal.
Yeah. It was,
and you're not sitting all day, are you?
No, I am starting to now. I did this past week. I did on Thursday and Friday. Saturday, my dad and we decided to have lunch during the day and hang out for a little bit. But yeah, I mean, dude, like stupid amounts of deer. And it's crazy because my dad is he hunts 2 spots right now, and he hunted what we call the Deer Hotel. And he didn't see anything. And at that point, we're about a quarter mile away from each other, and he saw nothing.
You see 70, he sees nothing, and you're opposite ends of the same property.
Yeah, literally, like complete. Just he's literally. So I'm in the northwest corner, and he's in like the southeast corner.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, dude, and he was like, "You see anything?" And I'm like, "Dad, I don't even want to keep telling you what I'm seeing right now." Like I almost feel bad. I have my own theories about my dad. I know he's probably going to listen to this, but I always tease him because he's really loud and he sleeps. He's like, "I never seen any deer," and I'm like, "I don't know why." He was hunting the back, so the property board's up against a bunch of federal land, and he was back there on one of the ground blinds, and he didn't see anything. Beautiful day on Saturday, and he's back there, didn't hear a twig snap, nothing, and he had to get out and go pee. And as he gets out, dude, he scares away a deer.
Oh.
And I'm
did he get eyes on it, or?
Yeah. He saw he saw the deer. The deer grunted, stomped, and then took off.
Oh.
So, anyways, but so tell me what's going down in Ohio. So you mentioned that your buddies are down there seeing some stuff. What's
Yeah, so I did an all-day sit. So I did an all-day sit on the 1st, November 1st. November 2nd, I did an all-day sit. And I actually wasn't planning on doing that. But each time when I thought, because right when I got in there in the morning, like shooting light pops up and there's deer all over. And they just keep coming in. Like 3 leave, 8 come in. And it's interesting to just watch I want to look at it as like a hierarchy, because there'll be, at one point there was 8 of them, and they're all just kind of eating from the food plot or on the edges. Some were in the middle. Some would go into the woods and come back out into like another run of the food plot. But one was, she had to have been the oldest one, and she stood back there and just stared in my direction and would stomp. She wasn't blowing or anything like that. And she would just stomp and just keep staring. She would rarely eat. And the other 7 are just, doing their thing. They could care less what she was doing, but she was just pretty dialed in my direction. And I have to imagine it was because of me, but I didn't have that problem with anybody else, with any other deer besides her and this 7-point that popped through at one point. He was looking at me for about 5 minutes, but eating and broadside. I just know he wasn't my target buck. But besides that, everything was coming in, coming out, walking around. Could care less about me being down there in my big blind. And it is a big blind, but I'm not having any problem with it. I am going to darken up the back a little bit, because maybe the way sunlight hits or time of day, I'm a little more visible through. I have burlap hanging down. One side of the burlap is a little light. One side is dark. I have the dark on the outside to match the outside of my blind, but I think I need to. And I have the inside spray painted black. of the blind. So I think I need to spray paint that burlap. But other than that, like I didn't have any trouble with getting blown at or anything like that. Bunch of deer. And every time I wanted to get up, more deer would come in. And so I just ended up sitting through. I was going to get up at like 1 in the afternoon. All of a sudden 2, that's when that one buck and was following the doe around. And so then I sat for another half hour, and then more deer would come in. So I ended up sitting that whole entire day. And that's when more of the people from the lease, 3 more people came down, and they were planning to stay the entire week. I was leaving the next day, so I was going to just do a morning sit that Tuesday. Ended up seeing nothing. I bumped some deer coming into it, and I looked at my trail cams, and they were there all night long. And then, of course, there were 2 doe there that I bumped. Bucks, my target buck was there that night. Real bummer. But the 3 guys that came down, they ended up staying there from Monday to Saturday. Like you said, though, real uncharacteristic temperatures. It was hot all week. And let's see, Jimmy, he's been hunting that property for close to 20 years. I think he took his first button buck on that property down there in Ohio.
Very cool.
Excuse me. He had a real nice buck come in, chasing some turkeys actually, thinking it was a doe, realized it was a turkey, turned back around, and he said he couldn't even pull up fast enough he pulled up his binoculars to check out the buck, said, "Oh, that's definitely a shooter." And he's going after, 4+, at least a 4-year-old, real nice rack. He's very particular. I don't think he's taken a doe in 3 years down there. I'm sorry, a buck in 3 years down there.
So, I mean, he's put in his time to be able to be like that,
Oh yeah. No, he has a long list of very nice bucks he's taken over the years, but down there particularly, he's looking for very specific ones, which is cool. But yeah, he's never seen this one on camera, so it was a new one that came in, realized it was turkeys, and then turned right back around. He ended up pulling up on one, and he missed.
Wow.
Yeah, he said he finally took a shot at he said it was a massive 9-point, and he doesn't points matter, but at the same time he wants a huge body deer with a nice rack, but he missed, and he has I'm pretty sure, I forget, I think it's a Raven crossbow, like basically a rifle with a string that can shoot, 100 yards accurate. and he shot right over him, he said.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I can only imagine that story, his reaction afterwards.
Oh my, yeah. Cause I never hear of Jimmy missing. It doesn't happen, which is awesome. But it's a bummer at the same time. You want everybody to be successful in the harvest. Definitely. At least he didn't wound him or anything like that. It was a clear, clean miss. So that was good. And then another guy said right at the end of shooting light, like a minute or 2 left, a huge, massive one came in. He could get glass on it, but his scope, he couldn't get a good scope on him. And so he wasn't comfortable taking an ethical shot. So passed, but he said it was the biggest deer he's ever seen.
Wow.
Biggest deer he's ever seen. And he passed. So that's a bummer, but that's what you got to do as a hunter. You can't just be slinging arrows or, taking shots at things that you're not 100% or very close to, that you're going to make a clean, ethical kill shot. So he passed on that.
Agree.
Yeah, for sure. And so, I'm it's sad to hear those stories, but at the same time, I'm glad to hear those stories.
Yeah, definitely.
And then another guy, that same guy, saw a huge buck, only had one side of his rack. The other fell off. And this was a couple days prior. I think this was like the day after I left. He had a real massive boy come in there, and it was like 8 on one side, and the other side was just falling off. Yeah. And then one guy, Phil, took a 15-point successfully.
That is incredible. A 15-point deer?
Yeah, 15-point deer. So these three down there just had a heck of a week, and a couple misses, a couple unfortunate situations where you couldn't get a scope on, and one very successful harvest, largest deer of Phil's life, 15-point,
Wow.
real mature buck.
That is awesome. Hey, when those things are happening, it means people are in the woods and they're experiencing. So it's all part of the process.
Oh yeah,
That's
and
awesome.
none of these deer are shown. Were on a lot of. I mean, I can't say none of them. Most of them were not on trail cams. Like Phil's biggest deer that he was chasing was a nice mature 8, and that was the one he was going to take. And all of a sudden, a 15-point pops into the scene, and he goes, "Well, plans have changed."
Wow, very, very cool. All right, so
we're getting to the end here.
Yeah,
Sorry,
no. Are you kidding me?
There.
No, I great. It was a great tangent. I love listening to those stories. So you're coming up to our place in Oscoda on Saturday.
Saturday to Tuesday or something like that.
And which I'm super pumped. Gun season starts on Sunday. You have a camera in the back there off our property on some federal land. And
trail cam behind the back 40, behind the back 40.
Nice. Yeah, it's beautiful back there. So you're seeing some things. I'm sharing with you, Brandon, that I believe at least half of next week. So between now and the mid of next week, maybe even going into Thursday and Friday next week, I believe we're definitely going to be in peak rut.
Oh, nice.
That is my gut telling me what I believe to be true, because of what I'm seeing and just historically, usually the same, 2 weeks every year. I believe that it's going to go into mid of next week.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, I know there's some real, I mean, you've already seen a ton of that action. The camera pics that I'm getting sent back to me, a lot of them are the deer moving in them. So like they're not great shots. They're clearly running through there in front of the camera. The home security system I have at my house, there's bucks running from front yard to backyard. I mean, just doing circles, chasing. There's doe taking breaks and eating and then running away, jumping over fences. It's a madhouse. I cannot wait to get back out in the woods, especially up at your property.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, Brandon, what you have going on in your neighborhood is special for sure.
It's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, all summer long, you see these three, I watch their antlers grow, and they would come into my neighbor's apple trees, and they're huge bucks. So obviously those things are just chasing doe around, which is pretty cool. But real excited to get up there for gun season. That's the 15th, this Sunday. We'll be up there Saturday, staying for a few days, and then I'm probably going to sit. We'll do another podcast after that. I'm not sure if it will be before or after, but I'm going to do a sit on public land around here, around the Lake Orion area of Michigan, and then which is about 20 minutes from my house. And then opening day rifle is for Ohio is November 31st. The last day of November is rifle down there. So I don't think I'm going to be going down there before. I might do a sit or two, but chances are I'll probably be getting down there for the opener. And in the meantime, be hunting Oscoda in public around here in Oakland County.
Nice. Yeah. So I'm, excuse me, I'm going to leave this Friday, the 13th, and I will be home the 22nd. And then I'll be, dude, I'm super pumped for deer camp for rifle season, even though both, it has to happen this year. We got to make some moves on our property. We got a little bit of a deer problem that we need to handle the last couple of years, and we got to thin some herds, but, and then, hunting through Thanksgiving, which is always it's historically been a beautiful time to be in the woods, the snow starting, you get a little bit of post activity. Brandon, I'm really excited for you to be coming up and joining us for gun season this year. So I'm looking forward to that. We'll be able to swap stories in the same vicinity. My dad will be there. The girlfriend will be there. It'll be nice. Good. It'll be a good time.
Well, hopefully they're not all magnet to your stand like the last time when your dad wasn't seeing anything.
I
Chuck's
mean,
gonna get a deer this year.
Chuck has to get a deer this year.
Oh, he'll get a big deer out of that. You might have to move down to the ground blind though.
I mean, dude, I don't know.
Because then the deer will be looking up at the hotel, and he'll be right there. They won't expect it.
I hope you're right, Brandon.
Or he'll come on the back 40 of the back 40 by me, and him and I will get it done on public land there.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's gonna be. I know he's gonna hunt a couple of times back. I mean, he's not like super close to you by any means when he's back there, but closer. And it'll be interesting what you see and what he sees when he's back there. So,
gosh, can't wait.
Yeah, dude, it's the best time of the year. 'Tis the season. You guys, we are going to cut this episode a little bit shorter. Brandon and I are really grateful for you to be to tuning in and just supporting what we're trying to get out there. Him and I are both, again, very early stages in our outdoor career, and we would love to hear feedback. We'd love if you're interested, you got a cool story or just if you have an expertise in something, if you've been an avid hunter for 20, 30 plus years and you've learned some just incredible things, Brandon and I want to know about those things. This is why we're doing this. So please be sure to check us out on social media, Tracks and Sign. Same with Facebook, Instagram. We're also on Pinterest. And, Brandon, we're grateful, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Very grateful. We'd love to have guests come on and tell their stories.
Yes.
Or at least write into us, and we'll relay the message as best we can.
Absolutely. Well, Brandon, until next time, I will see you very soon. Thanks again for everybody listening, and be safe out there. Shoot straight, and enjoy.
Thanks. Take care.
Thanks, Brandon.